As we bask in the warmth of our modern homes, it's easy to take for granted the luxuries we have to keep us comfortable, especially during the winter months. But have you ever stopped to wonder how our ancestors survived the bitter cold without the convenience of furnaces or fireplaces? In medieval times, temperatures could drop well below freezing, yet people had to find a way to keep warm without modern technology. Let's take a sneak peek into their lives. In the Middle Ages, the season of winter had a number of metaphorical connotations, including old age, poverty, and death. These negative implications had their origins in the natural occurrence that occurred during the winter season. In addition, they contributed to strengthening the symbolism of spring, which is a time of rebirth and rejuvenation. The winter months meant less work in the fields for the peasants who lived during the medieval period. Work was made more difficult by the cold weather and snowfalls, which also presented various obstacles to people whose homes were not adequately heated. Fire. In order to stay warm, peasants of these ages would typically keep a fire going in a pit in the center of the room. A hole in the middle of the roof allowed smoke to escape at regular intervals. The smoke filled the house most of the time, but they considered this a minor inconvenience, giving the importance of providing a warm environment for their families. People relied on animal heat in addition to the fire they had available to them. The majority of peasants would keep their animals in a barn that was located close to their homes. This was done so that the animals could keep each other warm, which would prevent any instances of freezing. People would sleep in close quarters with one another so they might take advantage of one another's warmth. They did not make use of beds in the twin form because there was no benefit in doing so. Because they kept animals, they also had access to warm materials such as wool, feathers, and furs to wear as clothing. Food. During the harsher months of winter, a staple dish for the typical person was pottage, which is a stew that's produced by boiling vegetables and grains together. Everything was thrown into the stew, and if they had any fruit, it was included even though it was common knowledge that eating raw fruit was bad. Onions, peas, colewort, also known as roquette or arugula, beans, lentils, and herbs like parsley would be typical examples of the kinds of foods that would make up a villager's diet. Cheese and eggs, as well as some meats, if they had access to it, such as fatty bacon or salty pig, was added to the pottage to provide the necessary amount of protein. To combat the phlegmy effects of winter, the well-to-do were advised to consume meats such as mutton or pigeon, as well as butter, figs, cheese, grapes, and red wine. Additionally, they were to drink red wine. Clothing. In the depths of winter, how do people keep themselves warm? They wore cloaks, scarves, boots, and gloves, albeit the gloves were more like mittens than the five-finger variety we're used to seeing, just like we do. The fires in the homes were typically made on stone hearths, and ventilation was supplied through a hole in the roof. While this did provide some warmth, it was not the kind that we're accustomed to having in such cold temperatures. Because the heating inside wasn't all that fantastic, a lot of individuals ended up coming inside wearing their outerwear in order to stay warm. In other chilly public spaces, such as churches, locals would frequently bring their own hand warmers to the service. These hand warmers consisted of hollow metal spheres that were filled with hot coals. Wool was the most popular material for clothing, despite the fact that it was an exceedingly itchy material. Hence, linen was worn underneath wool. Because sweat would cause wool to lose some of its insulating properties, individuals in medieval times often peeled off layers of clothes when they worked up a sweat and then reapplied them once they had dried off. Entertainment. Even though your prospects of making it through the winter were slim and you couldn't binge watch a show on Netflix for 14 hours straight, that didn't mean you couldn't have a little bit of fun. People throughout the Middle Ages participated in many of the same activities that we do now. For example, they enjoyed playing in the snow, going sledding and ice skating on pieces of polished wood or horse shin bones. Indoors, the most well-liked activities included playing board games such as chess and backgammon. Boar hunting is something that a noble person would find enjoyable. These activities provided much needed relief from the arduous labor that had been going on, as well as the freezing winter night. That's all for this video. We'll be right back with more such videos, so don't forget to give this one a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel.